Hey everyone. The topic for tonight is kind of different than what you're used to. Specifically, it is in regards to the idea behind why I believe there's going to be a modern Crusades war. And this could very well be a physical war. For those of you who don't understand what the Crusades were a a war that was started due to the highly invasive Islamic occupation of Christian nations. I mean, all the way from Africa into Europe and basically Rome and Constantinople, etc. And it was there was a lot of things that happened that, from a historical standpoint, many people don't really understand, right? But me as a Christian, you have to put this from the perspective of who we are. If Islam takes over Christianity, what is it of Christians, right? What is going to be left of us? So just from that perspective, without even looking into further details, I can firmly say that it had to happen somehow. And, the aggression was intense. I mean, would there have been ways to mitigate the war for it not to happen? Sure. But Islam was overtaking Christianity. Christianity had to fight back. And for those of you who think that Christianity is about being a pacifist, you should think again. The only reason that we get the idea that Christians are pacifists is because we've been wimped out of society. And here's where my topic of why I think a modern crusade movement will probably start at some point. From a societal perspective, we have a lot of social pressure since the 60s to cower away as Christians. It's always the idea of, you can live your life, but don't tell us what to do. At the same time, being a hypocrite by telling us Christians what to do. So it always kind of gave me this negative perspective about why I can't be proud to be a Christian. If in Christ I am, then why can't I proclaim that? Why I should be ashamed of being Christian? Why I should be ashamed of saying that I live according to Christ's command? And if I live according to Christ's command, that means that I want to see a Christian culture. Why should I be ashamed of that? Why are other people who don't believe in God in the first place tell me, a Christian, what I should or should not believe or follow, for that fact? Why are those people who do not believe in God at all talk to me about morals or ethics or laws, as if none of those are rooted in some kind of religiosity? All laws, ethics, and morals are rooted in some kind of creator. We are just the followers of those rules. So let me ask the question again. Why would I not fully say that I don't speak to people about what morals and ethics are for people who do not believe in God in the first place? That is a fair assumption. But yet I'm supposed to be tolerant of them telling me, a Christian, what I should believe. Sure, it's hypocritical, but it's also an insult to what being a Christian is. Why should I cower away? And to the second part of this is the Civil War. They call it a civil war, but to be fair, if we were to start a civil war in America, right, people, I don't think it would end the way people would think it would. Yes, there would be probably millions of deaths, but the consequence will basically be a completely divided nation, which maybe has to happen. I don't know. From an ideological perspective, it makes more sense to me that we hash out ideas, right? Because when you hash out ideas, you can come to an understanding of what is true and what is not through intense debate and discussion. So, just to make this clear, I don't want to see a civil war. I think that is the worst thing that can happen to America. America is a nation of innovation, of religious freedom, of religious pursuit, religious everything essentially, happiness, self-fulfillment, individualism. These are all great qualities because it makes you explore things, right? But now we have come to a standpoint where the people who practice Christianity can't even coexist with people who don't believe in Christianity because we are vilified and demonized, as in we are the evil ones. But my question is, how can you believe that there is evil if you don't believe in God? Again, let me repeat that. The people who don't believe in God are telling Christians they are evil. But those are the same people also provoking the violence. Those are the same people telling Christians are racist and sexist and homophobes and yada, 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 all these isms. And meanwhile, the Christians just want a simple society that they can go to church, not have to worry about religious persecution, create bigger and stronger societies, have their own communities be Christian for those of you who are Christian. But somehow that is a problem. Why? Everybody else can have their communities. Everybody can have their communities. We don't criticize Islam when they have their own communities. They have their own communities. We don't criticize the liberals or the leftists when they have their own communities. In fact, they don't even allow anybody who is a Christian conservative to intervene in those circles. And we don't see any issues with it. They can have their own communities. But somehow, Christians are excluded from having their own communities. When we say I want only Christian followers of Christ to be assembled here, that is a problem. Why? Let me repeat again. Christians want a normal society, a society that follows Christ, a society that has its own community, that interacts with each other, that grows together, has children, has good education, good health care for that fact. Just everything that is considered average normal. That's what Christians want. But it's all rooted in Christ. But the people who don't like Christians say that is not a good thing. They're being discriminatory. Why? The reason I called this the modern Crusades is because there may as well be a massive movement of young people who will take up the ideological arms and literally root out anything that is not Christian. Because those young men have been betrayed by their own nation, have been told that you're not allowed to be a Christian in its fullness unless you follow this, and this rule. And the young guy is like, why? My beliefs are my beliefs. I follow certain rules based on the ethical code that is inscribed by Christ. Why am I supposed to change? Why do I have to cower down and listen to them who do not believe in the same God that I do? So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about it, right? What kind of society do you want? Do you want a godless society that cares about nothing? That everything is permissible? Or do you care about creating a long-lasting society based on trust, based on honesty, based on a singular point of focus, Christ? Only through Christ will we be able to overcome our problems. Because in Christ and Christ alone, He blesses us and He loves us. Only through Christ can we know God. And if we don't know God, who are we? Have a good night.